Greetings, Internet. RPG Grandma here. Glad to have you back. We are on episode 3 of Eldritch, Wizardry, Psionics. Evil Psionics. Scary Psionics. Now, I'm working my way through this, because like I told you before, I ended up using Gamma World. But as an adult, I can look back on the stuff, and it's a lot less, what's the word I want? Daunting than when I was a little kid with the other little kids, and we had the cool, somebody had this book when I was a little kid. I got it later, and everybody wanted to use stuff from it, but the way the book's laid out, as I pointed out, it's really confusing. And even though I'm trying to go through and be careful, I made mistakes too. So there's 2 things. I'm pretty sure I corrected the thing on the monster manual that I had the publication date wrong, 1977, and it was printed again. And so just wanted to make sure I corrected that if I had it. And also, when I was telling you guys, like, you could only be a fighting man, a magic user, a cleric, or a thief, which that's all correct. Later on in the book, it tells me that the paladin and the ranger are fine with psionics. Also, assassins can have psionics, and illusionists can have psionics. It's just the monks and the druids that are excluded. I don't know why people. So rules is written. That's the deal. Okay, big reveal. Our little buddy on the paper that we created last episode. Well, he needs a name, so I decided to name him Gilligan, Skipper's little buddy. So maybe we'll get a theme and characters made here eventually. So Gilligan, he's our human X. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the powers that he has. Gilligan's special abilities. Domination, the ability to force another to do your will. The use of this ability requires great concentration, and it uses psionic strength points at a rate of 1 point per level of the creature being dominated per minute by domination. If the domination requires the dominated to perform actions which are greatly against his will, the expenditure of psychic strength points is doubled. So this is one of those DM calls. Now, his other special ability, if you remember from last episode, was mind over body. The ability to suppress certain body needs or satisfy them through psionic means. Food, water, and sleep can be completely ignored for 2 days per level. The power has been possessed. Excuse me. Thus, a person having possessed the ability for 2 levels is able to go without sleeping, eating, or drinking for up to 4 days. Thereafter, however, the person must spend a like number of days resting in order to restore the ability. Failure to do so will not harm the body, but the ability will not be usable again until such rest is taken. Now, that's just cool. I mean, old D&D, as we know, is a survival game. This is a big survival perk. There's a lot of spells now in D&D or rule mechanics that help you survive a lot better. This takes care of your food, your water, your need to sleep. Like, if you really needed to keep going, not small potatoes. All right. So, and we know that he has the one, attack ability. So, let's see. So, we got 2 pages, matrix here, different attack charts, okay, and stuff like that. Old D&D, gotta love the charts. Gotta love the charts. Okay, so let me explain initiative and things like that. Because, before you can have combat, you got to deal with who gets to go first. and all that stuff. So, first of all, the book outlines that there's 2 types of combat. One in which there's no return attack possible. So that would be the attack on the person who doesn't have a way to psionically attack back. That would be, let's say, the professor in Gilligan's Party here. Let's say the professor doesn't have psionics and he gets attacked by a psionic creature. He can defend with his intelligence, and he has a chance because he's probably going to have a really good intelligence with the name the professor. But he can't attack back. Then there is also, except for some magical devices that might do something, or some critters with special abilities that might do something. Number 2 form of combat is attack, defend, and the other person can attack. So you got your melee combat going right. Both parties can attack. So how do you do this? So there's a couple rules on launching an attack besides initiative. So psionic attacks on non-psionic creatures can be made only if the attacker's psionic attack strength is over 120. So we're going to go back. I'm going to look at Gilligan. And his psionic attack strength is 94. So that means Gilligan can't attack non-psionics. He can't do it. Not an NPC, not his fellow player characters in the party who might not have the power. Let's say if he goes evil on us, right? And not animals, not monsters. If they're not psionic, he can't do it. Okay. If he could do it, he'd have to have it at 121. It's over 120, not at and above. It's over. So 121. All right. If the other thing you have to understand is more math, people, is how this all works. So your psionic attack strength is affected by use of your psionic strength points. Remember those? Those are the number we came up with, 208, and those are how you power your attack. Okay? All right. So the psionic attack strength is reduced at a ratio of 50% based on the amount of points you spend. Okay, does that make sense? So as an example, let's say what you're doing uses 12 points of your psionic strength points, your PSP, then your psionic attack strength is going to go down by 6 points. So you lose 12 from your little pool that lets you launch your attack or your defend or use any of your abilities, all right? And every time you use that stuff, your ability to, your attack strength goes down. You're like, well, why do they both go down? Because it makes a difference on your damage. It makes a difference on your range. Okay? So you're getting weaker and weaker as you use your powers. Star Trek. Okay. If you guys heard that, Star Trek. Not trying to copyright violate anybody. Please, YouTube, don't make me refilm this. All right. So, talking louder than the actors. Initiative. All right. So when I read through and I re-looked at this, there seems to be some sort of assumptions made. A little bit different. So, or it's not laid out right, well. So there's the initiative where the creature is surprised. They don't know the psionic attack is coming. It makes a little bit of sense. I mean, how would you know if so? You know, it's a little bit different than the arcane wizard. I don't know, whipping out the scroll. Oh, he's doing something, right? Or the cleric, holding up his holy symbol and calling down the power of his god. The NPC or whoever's being targeted in that attack might be a situation where they've already seen each other and they know something's going to go down. Whereas you could be psionic and sneak up on somebody and do some psionic stuff to them, and nobody else in the room is going to know what's going on. I mean, you're sitting in a corner being all quiet, putting the woo-woo on somebody without having to do anything, obvious. So it looks like to a certain degree, attacks are kind of treated like surprises, at least the first attack. So it's whoever launches that attack first kind of gets initiative first. And if they didn't know it was coming and you call it a surprise, then there's a special chart for that. And based on the strength of the attacker, different things happen. And the defender's potential. So, and then based on the type of attack that you're launching, the particular psionic weapon, and you've got some cool attack modes. You got Psychic Crush. You don't want to make it Psychically Crush. That's bad. You got Psionic Blast. You got Mind Thrust, Ego Whip, and Insinuation. And all those do different things. Probably should do a episode on what powers individually do. But basically you have a special chart. Different things can happen based on what it is, but you can get stunned, you can get a psychic wound. It'll take you 1 to 6 months to recover, and you can't do any psychic attacks during that time period. You can be permanently crippled psionically and lose all your abilities. Death, of course, always a possibility. It's OD&D. Number of psionic attack strength points are lost. It's going to take 1 to 6 days to recover. And then for certain ones, it's got special notes. If you're using Ego Whip, then it changes the little chart, and it's not as bad. Maybe the death becomes just listen your and a psionic insinuation attacks can result in a variety of things. That has a list of things, but all it means is that you ignore that. If it's successful, all it means is that the victim is under the control of the attacker until released. So it's got if it's not as nasty as a power, then less nasty things happen to you. And they've got little asterisks and stuff. Okay, and then we move on to if Gilligan had the ability, was strong enough where he could attack non-psychic creatures, how that works. Now, I don't remember if we went over all the things the Mind Flayer did. I said there was a range, I think, and stuff like that. Well, this range here is kinder. It's some of the same things, but it's not nearly as nasty as the Mind Blast from the Mind Flayer. So on the low end, with low IQ, you can have death. Then it goes to calm if you don't make your save. Death. Then the next IQ level, coma 1 to 4 days. And then sleep 20 to 120 minutes. So in some cases it expanded it, but in other cases it made it not so bad. Or it made it a range that on the one end it can be harsher, but on the other end it can be gentler. You wake up sooner. Stun 1 to 4 turns. And now you get to roll something too. Right before it was like, no, you're just out for this amount of time. Confuse. Enrage. That back to that berserk thing. Feeble-minded. Permanently insane. Remember that? But then if your IQ is over, it gives IQ over 19 and 20 now. Now you go insane for 1 to 4 weeks or insane for 2 to 12 days, depending on your IQ level. So that's, in a way, an improvement. In a way, it's more variable. So that's probably a good thing. It also gives adjustments to die rolls and subtractions for saving throw adjustments. So magic users get a +1, clerics get a +2. That's elves are a +2 now. Dwarfs are a +4. Halflings are a +4 now. They weren't listed before. A helm of telepathy still at a +4. ESP medallion now at a -5. Psionic related spell -4. Stunned -3. Confused -2. Enraged -1. Feeble-minded. It just tells you to treat those people as they're a 3 to 4 intelligence. And insane individuals can be psionically attacked only with insinuation after that point. So this gives you an idea of, like, so if they already got hit, they failed their saving throw the first time and they went crazy. Now, if they get hit again, the only thing that can really affect them at that point is insinuation. So they're kind of protected in their insanity. So then you move on to the chart for full psionic combat damage scored. And this is like a page and a half with like a page of notes. I'm not going to read it all. But the way it works, so you take the total psionic strength that the individual has that's launching the attack. And it goes against the and then whatever the person throws up for defense. So this is a psionic versus a psionic. And then it gives us the damage that's done. Like what gets through it. Best I could figure out so far, looking at these charts. We are going to try to do combat, probably for real, with like some monsters and stuff. Next, we'll play with Gilligan. We might give him some extra abilities, extra strength and all that temporarily, so we can try the mechanics out. But yeah, some of these things are nasty. So the helm of telepathy, one of the things it does is the defender will stun the attacker for 3 turns if the defender makes his saving throw. So that's pretty good for you if you're the defender. The helm of telepathy raises psychic strength by 40. Hits do the indicated number of points of damage the opponent's psychic capabilities, except with regard to Psychic Crush. Remember I said Psychic Crush is kind of terrible? It's kind of terrible. If this is attempted, only a thought shield or no defense can be used. But if the indicated percentage is generated, the attack instantly kills the defender. When a combatant is reduced to no defense capability, then all attacks upon him are considered to take place using the special psionic attack matrix. It says below, but there isn't one below. Remember book layout that I keep mentioning that makes this so confusing? It seems to me No, this is Missiles Fire. Oh yeah, just in the middle of the book, there's a whole alternate combat system. Just boom, here's another combat system for you. Just random one. Just totally random. It's the one where you are surprised. That's the one you're supposed to use. You know, when you can't defend yourself anymore psionically because you burn all your points. Psionic defense capabilities are the same as the psionic attack strength. So those go down together. Okay. Range goes up for short range base 1 inch for each level of mastery of attack ability. So as you go up in levels, your range improves by 10 feet. Pretty good. Attacks, this is one of the interesting things. Attacks at medium range do only 80% of the damage. So you have to do more math, people. So 80% of whatever the damage was supposed to be. Attacks at long range are 50% of whatever the damage is supposed to be. Attacks on the surprise individual are handled again by that special psionic attack matrix. The use of psionic powers will alert, this is important, Dungeon Masters, any psionically endowed creature within a range of the power being used that somewhere something involving psionic abilities is taking place. So like if they're in another room, but it's within range, they're gonna sense it. Their little, psychic spidey senses are gonna go off. It's like a web being popped. Think of it like that, like sonic energy works like a big web, or it sends waves, like when you throw that pebble in, and everybody knows in the pond something has happened. If continued usage of the power then takes place, there is an increasing likelihood of the direction and psionic ability being identified. So, somebody in a room next door could be like, somebody's trying to dominate somebody. And it's next door in that room, versus something's going on somewhere. Base chance is 10% for each. And this increases by 10% for each continued usage of the same ability. So the more you keep using it in that same environment, your little psychic battles going on, that more that percentage chance goes up. Somebody's going to home in on you. And you're like pinging all over the place. Usage of a different ability will make identification impossible, but not direction. So the directional part keeps going up, but the what's going on, you might not be able to identify now. When direction is found, then relative strength can also be determined on the following turn. So like our psionic, other mystery person in the room next door knows what direction it's coming from. Maybe they know what powers are being used, but they could know that more than one person's involved, and about what strength people are at before they even enter. Superior abilities alert other psionics to twice the range of the ability. Psionic combat attack modes alert psionics within 3 times the ability range. Except Mind Thrush and Id Insinuation, detection of ability range maximum only. So when you go through and you look at the chart, it tells you the maximum things are at, So you have to keep all these little rules in mind once psionics start getting used. I mean, it's the radar is pinging in the, the sonar pings are going off, however you want to think of it. In the dungeon now, and anything psionic within range is aware stuff's happening. Note the spells which duplicate or are similar to psionic powers will likewise attract the attention of the psionically endowed creature. This also includes magical items which fall within the category. I think this is important. Even if you decide, only monsters are going to be psionic. But once one monster starts using their psionics, the other psionic monsters might know, and they might come to help their buddy. It's a possibility. This is a really important little rule. Or if the magic user is deciding to use telepathy today, it's a telepathy spell in the dungeon, or some medallion that does something psionic, or a ring that does something psionic. I mean, seriously, this attracts attention. Okay? Now, so the next episode, we will roll out combat in some shape or form here. I want to go over how you restore your points. So, restoration of psionic energy. Psionic strength points expended can be restored by refraining from psionic activity of any sort. The rate of restoration depends upon how far removed the activity engaged in by the psionically endowed individual is from psionic usage. So and it gives like activity, and then your psionic strength point gain. So walking, talking, and like activities, 6 points an hour. Resting quietly, 12 points an hour. Taking a nice long nap, sleeping, 24 points an hour. So that is how you regain your psionics, assuming you haven't hurt yourself. And that's important to know. So initiative. Now I said it looks like it starts out, basically somebody gets surprised. Like the DM's going to decide if somebody's surprised or not, and whoever gets surprised, you get attacked. They get attacked. And then once the sonic battle is on, though, then it moves to a different chart. Okay? And that's when you start rolling for initiative. Also, if it's launched simultaneously. So let's say a couple players at the table decide they're going to have a psionic battle simultaneously. The bad guy and the good guy simultaneously see each other and think, I'm going to use my psionic abilities. They can actually launch an attack at each other at the same time. It's totally possible. I would probably roll some kind of dice that's not talked about in here to determine if that actually happens, like a simultaneous attack, a D6 or something. To split it down the. But yeah, you've determined a simultaneous attack's happening. So what you do is each opponent's going to roll a percentage dice. They then add the score of their psionic attack strength, and the high score is the one that goes first. So that, if you were playing like Magic the Gathering, boom, they are putting their card down first. So that is how you do it. That's how you do the initiative. Like I said, I would probably roll to give them to determine if it's happening simultaneously in the first place. Otherwise, the first person gets the sucker punch. But if it comes up simultaneously, you solve it this way. Or if you decide without a roll that it's simultaneously. So that is the first part of understanding the combat. Point costs, how your strength and defense strength, your attack and defense strength lower relative to the amount of points that you're spending for your abilities that you're trying to use on somebody else, including your attacks and your defenses that you're trying to use on yourself to survive the attack. But basically, those attacks get through, and they do damage a lot. I mean, sometimes not, but a lot of times, Oh yeah, because I'm looking at the chart, and some of it's pretty devastating. So it'll suck up your psychic ability really quick, because that's what's getting. I think that's what's getting hit at first, and looking through there. Makes the most sense because it's all first in the mind before you get down to the point where you have nothing. And now it's going to go bad, really bad. So next episode, Gilligan and maybe Gilligan's evil clone, or Maybe I'll make another psionic person in between. But we'll do some kind of combat with 2 psionic individuals and maybe a psionic monster or something like that. And we'll keep chugging through this because we got psionic demons. We've got, you know, you got to love this book, though. I mean, seriously. I mean, even though it's a complete rules mess for understanding, it's got some great stuff. I mean, who doesn't want the crystal of the ebon flame? That just sounds awesome. Or the ring of Gax. What do those do, you know? And we've all heard about Vecna. Well, Vecna's in here. Eye of Vecna's in here. So, and then there's monsters, and then there's updates on monsters where they get powers. And then there's the effect on the character class. For as you gain abilities, you'll lose stuff. We will do another video. And things that I'm supposed to remember to say, because I've just always done, like, these are like my home videos, people, on things I'm interested in. Subscribe, like, comment. I'm cool. You can tell me anything you think. Ask questions. You know, I'll do my best to answer, you know, on what the video, if something was confusing that I said. Keep on rolling those dice, having a good time. Make your role-playing game experience as exciting and as awesome as you can. Players pick up on your energy. So bring it to the table as best you can. And even though I'm going through old stuff, anybody who does new stuff, it's okay. You do another system, it's okay. What's important is playing tabletop role-playing games and your love for those games. So everybody have a great night, and thank you for watching. Bye.